Ask you for one. Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration, the Power is Within podcast. Glad you could join us here today. And our panel tonight is
Claude, I'm 20.
Pauline, I'm 16.
21.
Henry, I'm 19.
Frank, I'm 18.
Oh, we forgot about the tech man back there.
Yeah.
We'll leave him out. Tonight we're going to talk about it. Why is Andrew Tate still in jail? Why is Tate still in jail? There's no charges been filed against him. The investigation has been going on since last April, which almost makes it a year. And usually they don't arrest somebody unless they have enough evidence to charge them. Because here in the States, they have 24 hours they can hold you, and they have to charge you within that first 24 hours. And if they don't, they can't hold you. Even if they have to make up the charges, they got to charge you with something. Mm-hmm. And yes, things like that do happen. I know there's a lot of people think, well, if he's guilty, they'll prove him guilty. And if he's innocent, they'll prove him innocent. And most people that talk like that have never been involved in the court system because you have a bunch of personalities and different people in there with their likes and dislikes. And it can be much more complicated than that. We look a little
Blurred.
We look a little blurred on there, Frank.
Is your mic on?
I think it is, yes. Is my mic on? Yes. We got a little bit of blurring problem here. We're going to try to take care of it.
No, you're fine. It's the quality.
Okay, we're selling the wrong set. So we're going to discuss that tonight. We have a few clips. But anyway, before we begin, I'm going to ask the panel why they think Andrew Tate is still in jail with no charges and possibly another, 3 months? I think at the end of this month, he will have been in there 3 months, and they keep denying his appeals. According to their law, at least what I've heard, is they can hold him for 180 days without charging him for anything. And after that, they either have to release him or charge him with something. That's the way the law is written. But as I've told my kids, they kind of can make it up as they go. And they can do that here too. I know I see these guys on YouTube, and the policeman's trying to do something, and the guy's sitting there with his phone, and he's telling the cops that he knows his rights. Mm-hmm. You might be able to get away with that. But every time they see you, they're going to be watching for you. And when it comes down to the judge or you, the judge is going to believe the policeman before they believe you. So that's just kind of how it works in the system. Mm-hmm. So anyway, why do you think Andrew Tate is still in jail, Claude?
Because he goes against the system, goes against what people are taught. He goes against what society's trying to teach people, to be betas, to end up getting married, have a wife and kids, and work a minimum wage job, try to be in the rat race. He's trying to get people out of the rat race, especially the younger generation. And that's what people fear. They want people to be slaves, but when there's somebody who's freeing them, trying to make people not slaves anymore, then that's what they're afraid of. That's why they're trying to lock them up, trying to make them die down, or try to find a way to scare them.
Yeah, so basically people like Andrew are the ones that lead revolutions. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a revolution with guns or anything like that, but a revolt of thinking and people to think for themselves. What I see that he does is he inspires people to think for themselves. I know a lot of people don't like his methods because he's pretty brash and he talks pretty rough. And I know some people think he's terrible because they'll watch a 30-second clip of a 5-hour video and then they make a judgment on something out of there. But I know that anybody who's ever been recorded, I know my videos, you could take clips out of there and make me look like a terrible person. So you can do that with anybody. You can do that with the president. They do that with the president all the time, and different people like that. They take little clips and they take it out of there, and it's out of context and makes you look like you're a terrible person. So, yeah, I think I have to agree with that. Paulina, what do you think?
I think that they're, like what Claude said, they're holding him because, he thinks differently than other people. Like, everyone thinks he's a misogynistic person and like he's all about hating women, so people set him up in ways like this so he can't get arrested. I know people have been after him since he became a YouTuber and since he came out with thoughts of his own. So I feel like a lot of people are against him and kind of want to set him up in a way, and that's why he's in jail right now, because he kind of got set up.
Interesting. And Henry, what do you think?
Well, pretty much like Claude was saying, you were saying, he goes against the system, multiple videos. He says a lot of stuff that people don't agree with. He gets people's reactions too. Like That's what gets people watching them. And they tried to cancel him before, but it didn't work. And if they can keep him in jail for long enough, I believe that maybe they can try to get the people he has influence on to forget about him, you know. So,
So what do you think, Claude? How long do you think they're going to keep him?
I'm thinking that I was just talking to Kevin about this. I was thinking that they're either gonna keep him for 180 days, or they're probably gonna let him out sooner if they can't find anything to charge him with. But what I was thinking about is one way or another he's probably gonna get out. And I was thinking he's probably gonna have a podcast that people are gonna end up paying to watch. They're gonna pay to watch that.
Yeah, some people are saying if he does, when he gets out, the first podcast will be like millions of viewers, which is possible. Do you think that he'll comply and keep his mouth shut from now on if he gets out?
No, that'll just make him wanna.
yeah, I think
go
it'll be
against
more
it even
rebellious
more.
now. I think it'll be if they let him out. I think that they might try to find at least something to charge him with if they keep him the 180 days and they can't charge him with what they're accusing him of right now. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that, but another thing that I was thinking about is he knows what he's going up against. He knew what he was going up against from the start. So what's going to stop him now? You know, he's already gone this far. He knows that the only place he can go now is farther.
Right. You know what amazes me, and I know a lot of people don't like Tate. They think he's misogynist and sexist and this and that. And of course, everybody, at least from my point of view, everybody has a right to their own opinion. And I'm not going to hate on somebody because they think of him that way. That's fine. But if you look throughout the pages of history, and I know some people are going to have a fit about this, but if you look at Nelson Mandela, William Wallace, which was the Braveheart character, Jesus Christ, all those people, and there's a bunch more, were considered criminals. They were considered to have done heinous crimes against society and against the government.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus was crucified. William Wallace was, I think, tortured and killed. And Nelson Mandela was jailed for like 27 years. And then he came out and became the president. And of course, we know the history of Jesus, many millions of worshipers throughout history. And William Wallace, they made a movie about him. People forget that. And even with Jesus, a lot of people, and some people say, God, how can you compare Jesus to? I'm just making the comparison of people that were considered criminals by the state and by a lot of the people who wanted to crucify them or jail them or delete them.
Mhm.
Be careful how we say that. And then later on down the road, they found out that those people were actually for the common person, trying to help that person to have a more empowered, abundant life.
Mm-hmm.
But the powers that be at the time were trying to squelch these people's words. And what got them all in trouble was their words. They're people who believed in them, and then they accused them falsely of different crimes. But let's and he talks about that. Play that video, Frank, the one where he talks about how the powers that be want to keep everybody divided and keep everybody weak.
Ooh, I gotta find what it is.
And let us know what you think in the comments too. I suppose I should have put them in order.
I don't know what it is. Hold on.
Well, we can just go through them and play them and discuss each one as we go. We'll get to it eventually, I suppose.
Yeah, I'll do this.
Basically, they're all the messages that he puts out that a lot of the people don't want to hear about because it's actually telling people to think for themselves.
All right, here's the first one.
Amazing to me anyone buys any of this crap. They sit here and they talk about global warming, and then there's obviously the hypocrisy of flying around on jets, etc. But that's not even the true thing that shows you they're lying. The thing that shows you they're lying is the second they manage to launder enough money from the people and steal hundreds of millions of dollars, they go and buy beachfront property. All of them are sitting on beachfront houses. Mom.
This one might not have audio.
Well, we gotta have audio, so let's see what we got here. Well, we can discuss that.
Way you're going to destroy racism
Think about it until you get the audio going or whatever. Global warming.
is to stop talking about it. I truly believe this is propagated by the
Global warming. Since I think about 1969, well, at one time it was global cooling. All these expert scientists have made predictions since about 1969 about how global warming in New York. One guy predicted this, like a well-known scientist said, the Statue of Liberty by a certain time in the 70s would be covered with water up until its arm. It's like 5 or 6 or maybe more different predictions throughout history about global warming and actually global cooling too. And none of them come to pass. And they're still talking the same thing. I mean, what do you guys think about that? And I don't even know what is the agenda there. That's the next thing. They're pushing this global warming and they're wanting to actually out in California, I think they're talking about getting rid of the, and that's the one thing he talks about on that video, Tate does, about getting rid of the cars. We got to get rid of combustion engines and the gasoline. Why do you think they're pushing this global warming?
I'm not sure. I mean, I personally don't believe in it, but I can tell you why they're trying to push it. I've never really gotten into it, so.
The only thing I know, it's another form of control, I suppose. That's really, I don't know what it is. Did you get the volume going on that?
It should be good, no?
Well, let's try it again here.
And there's always that. There's always stuff about global warming going on, but I'm not going to be around whenever. I'm not going to be around.
Well, the way they talk
has
about
provided you with plenty of trauma, and the point of the trauma is for you to grow
There's
and
some
learn.
stuff like that before, but the thing is that like, they'll be like in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, and it still hasn't happened.
What's up, Tech Man?
So yeah, I guess it could be another way of control or another way to have people afraid. You know?
Yeah, if you get people afraid, we see how that worked in the last 2 or 3 years, how they were able to control people,
Yeah.
lock them in their houses.
So I heard buying toilet
Tate
paper.
also talks about that deal too.
Yeah, buying toilet paper, buying groceries, just to realize you're not even going to be inside that long. Just get afraid. It's just fear. It's what they try to push on to people. Fear.
Still trying to get the sound of these videos here. I thought we had this ready to go. Well, I think we're going to have to go without the videos here. I'm just going to get them going or not. Hey, what's up, Men's Daily Advice and Encouragement? Thanks for joining us. We're trying to get our videos going here. We're having a little technical difficulties. We may have to proceed without them.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to. I'm going to reprimand my tech man here. Well, let's move on. We're just going to go on with it. So he speaks out against all these things. And a lot of other people do too. But the problem with him is he's got a big platform a lot of people listen to.
Mm-hmm.
I heard over in the UK that actually are they banning what he says in the schools there? They're not allowing people to say his name or something. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, they can't. They think he's a bad influence on the children there. His misogynistic views. Why do you think people think he's a misogynist, Paulina?
Because he talks about stuff that women don't want to hear. I mean, women want men to be, vulnerable and I guess, what's the word? Beta?
And what's that?
Beta?
Probably gonna
Beta.
have to
Beta.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna have to speak up a little bit, Dan. I guess
You're not close enough to your mic.
Oh, okay.
But I think that a lot of women around here want men to be vulnerable and want them to, I don't know how to explain it, but not be masculine is what women want. So,
That's what they said they want.
that's what, yeah. And I feel like that's what they want. Like they don't want men to be men. But I feel like if that actually happens, women are going to realize like how big of a mistake they made, because when men aren't men, they can't do what women need them to do. They can't be a man for them. They can't like be masculine. They can't take a lead in a relationship. And that's what women need. Women need a guy to take lead in the relationship. The girls don't want to do it. So I feel like a lot of the reason why people call him a misogynist is because he speaks the truth. He speaks what women don't want to hear.
Another thing too is the reason people think he's misogynist is because people take those clips out of his video, and like him saying, well, I won't say what he said just to be safe
One
on the
about
channel.
property or no?
No, the one about
Machete?
smacking, yeah,
Oh, smacking
Yeah.
people around.
yeah, and you take a small clip of that and people put it on like TikTok or something like that, and if you watch just that part, you can think, oh wow, this guy's misogynist. He talks about being threatening towards people and stuff, and
Well, yeah, I made a comment once on a video. I had to set this up so I don't get. I told you about this. There's a man and a woman boxing in a ring, and the man stood there and let her just punch the crap out of him, and then he hit her once, twice, and knocked her down. And I made the statement on this video where they were boxing with the headgear on and the gloves. I said I would have to hit her before she got to me. And I got warned on Facebook, and they took my comment down because of what I said. Because whoever read that took it out of context. They were in a sporting event, and it's like, but you can't. There was no way to dispute it or appeal it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was a good example right there.
I think another reason that people think he's a misogynist is because, like, what's it called? Even it can go back to, like, for example, 100 years. The woman would always stay home and do what the woman needs to do, and the man would go out and do what he needs to do. But now all of a sudden, they're pushing all this. Men and women are the same. Men and women are equal. Women can do what men can do. They push that, and some women can do certain things that men can do also.
Yeah.
But the thing is that that's not what guys find attractive. Guys want the woman to have the role that the woman is supposed to play. And then, they're supposed to play his role, but they think that because they're equal now, because Tate doesn't think about, he doesn't think that it should be like that. They think he's a misogynist. I mean, I understand it's like,
well, yeah, he believes in the idea of a traditional woman.
yeah.
And
the
people,
traditional
and then
woman.
with the way things are nowadays and the way society is, being a traditional woman is looked at like they're a
down
slave,
upon.
or,
Yeah.
and when we say something like, a woman's supposed to do what she's supposed to do, we just mean like for us, like a traditional woman. That's what I would go out and work and provide for the family, and she'd stay home and take care of the children, because I can't give birth to children, and I don't think I
That's
could
not
love
what
them.
some people say, but I know. We won't get into that.
But what's it called?
Let's stay away from that topic.
And I don't think I could take care of children as good as a woman could, personally, in my opinion.
Well,
So.
of course, here we haven't had a woman here for 12 years or more, and I would be dishonest if I said that you guys, how would I say it, that you wouldn't have benefited from having, a mother here. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I can't say that I could raise you as well as I could with a woman who was cooperating with me and was being a mother to you guys. Men are just not meant to be mothers. Now, that doesn't mean they can't act motherly, but it's not in our inherent nature to be motherly.
Yeah. Another thing I was thinking about is I feel like they think that being a traditional woman is misogynistic because there's no traditional women anymore. There's not.
It's few and far between in the U.S. Our culture has definitely moved away from that since the 60s. We have the empowered woman who thinks, and not all of them, but there's a lot of women who think that they're competing against men, and they think men are going to be attracted to them. I saw on Kevin Samuels once where he asked this woman what she had to offer. Well, I make six figures. I got my own place. I'm independent. And he said, well, you just described what women are attracted to men for. I don't care how much money a woman makes. That's not what I'm not attracted to that whatsoever. I don't care how many degrees she's got. I don't care how long she went to school. Any man worth his salt is usually not attracted to that. Now, maybe there are some feminine men growing up now that have been programmed to believe that that's what attracts them, but then look at the 50% divorce rate. Is that working? But then a lot of women will say, well, the divorce rate is higher now because we don't have to put up with all that crap from men now. We can go out and make it on our own. But how many women feel safe at night at home by themselves in the city where there's not a lot of police protection Do they feel as safe like that as they do if they have a man there to protect? If they have a real man, like let's say like Tate, no, they don't. How does a woman feel? I mean, it's like Paulina. If she drives to Wentzville, I one time drove to Wentzville. It's about 15 miles from here by herself. I don't feel near as comfortable about that as if she went with you,
Mm.
because she's a girl. What if she breaks down? What if she breaks down? I'd be worried about it. Let's say her phone doesn't work. What the hell? She's very vulnerable out there. If you break down, it's a whole different day. You're 18, she's 16, you're 19, 16. You can fight. She's vulnerable. So that's why I don't understand, and that's something Tate talks about, is the men protect the women. But women have grown up with this, I think, seeing these things on TV, that these 110-pound women are kicking these 240-pound Navy SEALs butts and all this stuff on these shows. And they come to believe this is true. It's not true. A 110-pound woman is not going to be able to protect herself out there on the road like you can or like I can. Then someone says, well, I get a gun. Well, then there again, we will not see. How many women do we see on the front lines in the Ukrainian war? I mean, there may be a couple, but most of the people out there that are being eliminated are men.
I saw this post. I was reading the comments, and it was talking about how the men in Ukraine, and I'm not saying this is true, it's just what I read, but the men in Ukraine were not allowed to leave, but the women were allowed to leave. Yeah. The men, I guess, had to fight or whatever.
I mean, if women want equal rights and we get into this war over here, which God forbid, I hope we don't, because I got 5 boys that are about of age for war. I don't see them drafting women, but hey, if they want equal rights, let's give it to them across the board. I don't think women should go to war, but I think the ones that are claiming that they're the same as men and they can do whatever a man can, let them go. If that's what they want to do, let them have their equality across the board. And then Tate talks a lot about that, equality across the board. You know, where's that getting us? Who's going to take care of the kids? We got the daycare industry here. It generates $100 billion a year in the economy, and it's a $47 billion a year revenue for daycare. But yet, they don't consider that a valuable career. Women here are taught to go out and have a career, as if raising kids and being a housewife or mother was not an admirable, valuable career. And then once again, we talk about traditional women and traditional men. A lot of the women, it seems to me, in the West want a traditional man, but they don't want to be a traditional woman. And I understand that because it's almost belittled here to be what if you were in school, Pauline, and you said, I want to be a housewife and a mother? What would the teacher say to you? Have you ever said, I want you to go to school and say that and see what they tell you?
I know a lot of teachers, when I tell them that, I don't want to be in school for the rest of my life, which I would be if I want, or what they say, if I want a good career, I need to be in school for basically half of my life, which I honestly think is just a waste of time. So when I tell them that, they say stuff like, so what do you want to do? Do you not want a career when you get older? And I just simply say, no. And they're like, so what are you going to do? And I'm like, stay home and take care of my kids. And they go, that's all?
I know.
So, I mean,
when I was married to your mother up here, and I married someone from another country, and they say, don't bring them back here. And basically, I think it was a mistake I made. They would belittle her. They would say, well, what do you do? And she said, well, I take care of the kids. We had 3 kids at a time. And they said, well, don't you work? I'm like, yeah, it's like, but then again, on the other hand, I've heard women up here say, I wish I could stay home with my kids. So, but yet they want everybody. It's kind of like misery loves company. And how many women, it's almost like they tell women here in the States, well, you got plenty of time. You wait till you're about 30 to have kids. It's almost too, you can have kids when you're past 30, but it becomes more dangerous. And it's just not, from the ages of, I know people don't like to say it, but anyway, it's below 18, but we'll say 18 to 25 is the best times, to have for a woman to have children. And well, then she's too young. She doesn't, we're all learning, we're all growing. You really don't start to mature until you step out and start doing things. I mean, how many of your associate classmates, you're 16, have had kids? At what ages?
I think one of my friends had a kid last year when she was 15. And then one of my other friends had a kid when she was 17. And then another one of my friends had a kid when she was 16. They're all from it's all from 15 to 18.
Yeah, so they're able to have kids when they're there, and they say, well, that's kids having kids. But we got a lot of men now and women too that are raised up and they're not really having any life experiences. When do you start to become a man or a woman? When you start taking responsibility for your decisions. But it's almost like, hey, what's up, Wade? And men's daily advice. Yes, he's still stuck in a Romanian jail, and who knows for how long. Yeah, it's almost like, have you guys seen as much posting on social media about him as there was when he first got thrown in jail, or has it died down?
I haven't seen as much, but my content on, or like all my stuff on my the content that I watch and stuff is just mainly boxing and stuff, because that's all I talk about really. If I talked about Andrew Tate more, it would probably pop up on my phone a lot more. It's just really based on what you watch and what you save. And I haven't seen any videos of him pop up lately, so I haven't saved any. But I'm sure they're still out there. I mean, I don't know. I'm not on TikTok, so.
Yeah. Well, they let I at least what I saw on social media, they let the two girls out on house arrest, but they haven't let the Tates out. So that doesn't surprise me at all. We got I Make Music says, I was talking to a female that said she didn't want kids, and she told me she wants to travel the world and focus on her career. I instantly blocked her. I thought she was a feminist. I couldn't stand that. Yeah, well, I don't know if she's a feminist or not, but it's almost like, at least here in the West, they're programmed for that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to travel. I'm not saying that. And that's all good and fine. But most women, what do they call it? Baby rabies? How old are they when they start thinking about 23, 24? Yeah. They start thinking about having a kid. And when they get to be 27 or 28, they really start thinking about, because it's a natural thing within us, women, to want to have children, and men too. Men want to have a legacy. They want to leave a legacy. It's a natural thing. Now, I don't know. Thinking about myself, I really didn't think about having kids probably until I was in my 30s. Mm-hmm. So I think it's later for men. But with men, I mean, I can still have kids now, and I'll be 63 this year. Mm-hmm. I had the last one of you guys. He's 14. I was 40. I was almost 50, the last kid I had. So it's different for men. But as I said, with women, by the time they get 30, 90% of their eggs are gone. That's statistically a medical fact. And then their chance of a high-risk pregnancy of having problems increases more, and miscarriages. So it's getting a little bit too late. Now, there are women that have had kids, maybe even 50 years old, 40 and 50. Now, I'm not saying it can't happen, but the optimal time. And for men, it can be, now, for most men, they better be having kids time at 35 if they're not taking care of themselves. But if they take care of themselves, even up like to my age, I think Richard Gere, he had a kid when he was in his late 50s, another one when he's 60. Financially, he can support that. I don't know what kind of shape he's in, but if you stay in physical shape like I'm in, I work with you guys every day. We spar when my neck's in better shape. So I can do anything you guys can do, and better. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I can put that last word in there.
I can do what they do, but that's if you take care of yourself. So a man really has a longer shelf life than a woman has, as far as reproduction, and maybe, I wouldn't say physically, because if a woman takes care of herself, she can still be physically fit and running and doing whatever she wants to in her 50s and 60s. But in general, men too, women tend to put on weight and get out of shape more so. But what do we got here? Mark, do you want more children? Do I want more children? That's a good question. Sometime, hey, Kings and Dreams, glad you could join us. Salute. I don't know. I've thought about that. I got one more kid, is 14, and these boys work for my company. Actually, I'm in the process of actually making them part of the company and a percentage of. So it's a family business, and we don't really have employees. But I've actually thought about having a couple more kids, but I need to recover financially from having these and get in a more stable position before I have another kid. But yeah, it's a real good chance I might do it. Richard Gere, I saw him in the movie Pretty Woman. You guys probably don't know that. Some of you guys may know that show. I'd come back in 1990 or 1989. I'm not sure which, somewhere back in there. And I admired his character. And he had a car. He had a Lotus, or the girl that he fell in love with had, his friend had a Lotus, but he was driving that car, and I loved that car. So I've had two of them since then. But I admire his character, but in real life, as I said, he's had 2 kids, one in his late 50s and one in his early 60s. No, I'm sorry, in his late 60s, and he had one in his 70s. I think I misquoted that. So, yes, I think about it because I plan on being around here a long time. Of course, we never know, but if a man takes care of himself, here's the deal. I see guys that are in their 80s and they're out there working and they're in good shape. I admire those guys. And when I was in my 20s, I would go to these races. I ran races, and I would see these guys in their 50s or almost 60. They had 6-pack abs. They were in good shape. They're running. I want to be like those guys. Well, I'm like those guys now. So I believe you can be whatever you want to be. Everybody has different desires and motives, and that's one for me is to take care of myself and have a long life and be healthy and enjoy myself and have fun with you guys. There's another question there. Where were we at? We're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh,
When
they were
you
asking
guys-
if you wanted to have kids.
Oh yeah. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, to answer that, yeah, maybe we'll see. Depends how things go. I wouldn't mind having a couple more kids. I would like to have a couple more boys. I don't know if I want to have any more girls or not. They're a lot more difficult.
Uh-huh.
Now, I think a girl definitely needs her mother. So, and I'm not sure how I would do that. I tell the boys, I really don't, and I'll direct this to Kings and Dreams there. I really don't recommend that you marry someone in the West here. Now, there are good women here if you can find one, but the legal system is like you marry a woman here, it's almost like you're marrying the legal system too. You're marrying the court system. And it's just not a good setup, I don't think. So my advice to the boys or to anybody would be to have a woman outside of the country, be in a financial position where you can have kids with her outside of the country and travel there and spend time with her. And back to Tate, now he wasn't with his father all the time,
Yeah.
but yet his father had a great influence on
Well,
him. So, yeah.
when his father was around, I think Andrew Tate talked about this. He was always learning a valuable lesson or something. His dad was always teaching him some sort of life lesson, I think he
Right.
said, or something. I can't remember exactly.
Well, back in the old days, you have to think about it. Men would actually go off to war for years at a time, and they were raised with their mothers. And then also they would go out to sea. They would go out on different adventures, different things they had to do to survive. So the father was not always in the home, but still we had more masculine men back then than we do now. So what do you think of the role of a father in the home, Paulina?
I think it's important because I feel like if a guy doesn't have a male role model or anything in his house, he's kind of a sissy boy and won't take care of his girl or stand up for his girl when he needs to. I feel like it's really important for a guy to have a father figure in the home or something along the lines of that.
Now you've experienced that personally with dating now, because most of the guys you go out with, maybe they have a father and he's not really a leader, or they don't have a father, and how does that pan out, or what usually happens when you date guys?
They
like
just become kind of simpy and they just get really annoying, too comfortable. That's pretty much it. I mean, they cry, they send me paragraphs, they just do too much.
that? How many guys have cried in front of you that you've?
Probably every single one of them besides maybe 2 or 3.
And how many would that be on a number, more or less?
What do you mean?
5, 10, 15 guys that liked you. I mean, now Paulina, when she talks about dating, a lot of times when dating with people in schools, they're just talking to each other. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they're kind of like, that's considered going together if you're an older person.
Probably 10 or 15.
Now, and let's talk about that vulnerability. That's one thing that. What's up, Tech Man? Got something to say? Huh?
We got a blackout there for a second.
Are we good now?
Yeah.
Okay. Where was we? Oh, vulnerability. I know a lot of dating coaches are pushing vulnerability to be able to open up in front of your woman. I disagree with that, because to be the word vulnerable means to be susceptible to attack or emotional harm, or emotional or physical attack or harm. Now, your woman doesn't want to see you crying, which we've just seen here. That doesn't mean you couldn't shed a tear if your mom died. But if you go around sharing your emotions, your woman really doesn't want to hear it. Now, a lot of women will disagree with that, but then when their man starts, it's just not what men are. You just can't do that. It just doesn't work. And then guys are telling men to do that. And then all of a sudden their woman comes up and says, well, honey, I need some time.
Mhm.
I need some, it's not you, it's me. Yeah. And then they wonder what's going on because they did what they were told to do.
Yeah.
And that's definitely not what Tate teaches. He teaches actually the opposite, to be more of a masculine man. Tate is a lot like the men that I grew up with when I was young, the kind of men that my father was, and men like that. Men that would stand up and take care of things and do what needed to be done. So, Paulina, how many percentages of the men or the boys or whatever you believe are masculine in school?
I'd say none. Absolutely zero. Because I usually think that there is. Like, I used to say that there was, like, at least somebody masculine in the school, but I have not met one person who is masculine. Every person I have been with is just a wussy. They're too scared. I mean, if you can't stand up for me when someone's even speaking bad on me, how am I supposed to know you're going to stand up for me when someone's physically doing something to me? How am I supposed to know that if we're walking down the street and a dude smacks my butt, you're going to defend me if you can't even defend me when someone's saying bad things about me, just talking about me? How am I supposed to trust the fact that you're masculine enough and taking such like a good role in our relationship? How am I supposed to know that you are going to protect me when I need protection?
And that's one of the questions we ask when they come here is they usually have to meet me and maybe one of the brothers. And I ask them, what are you going to do if you're out with my daughter and someone gets up in her face? And only one of them said what? We can't talk. We can't advocate violence here. I would protect her. He said something else, but one person gave the right answer. And the rest of them were like, they didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
There's just most of them are semi-masculine, not fully masculine. I ain't never met one that was fully masculine. Someone, if I shook their hand, they had a solid handshake. It's
Yeah,
always
that's true too.
soft hands, always something soft.
Now, Claude, you're on the other end. You've dated some girls, and I've heard you talk about if you don't, they get angry with you because you don't. How would I say? You don't submit to their leadership. They want to lead, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, if I'm talking to one and one of them finds out about the other one, they get all pissy at me. We're not really dating, so you can't get mad at me. Or they'll be like, I only want you to talk to me. I don't want you texting all these girls. It's like, I can't do that. I mean, I was talking to a girl last night actually about it. I was like, what was I telling them? I haven't found a woman valuable enough for me to want to date them. Like, how do I
Steady?
explain? Yeah, not
Make
just
your
steady,
main.
but most of them are just
Runners.
yeah, they're just runners.
What does that mean? Runners?
It's a term for 304s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm kind of out of date here. A runner. So
A ru-
most of them are runners.
yeah.
runner.
Most of them, I can sleep with them when I can sleep with them within the first night I hang out with them, and then it's like that's where I know that that's not the kind of girl I want to date. If I know I can get you within the first night, I don't want to date you.
You're a
'Cause when-
player.
And that's the way it's always been, though. I mean, and that's what girls don't understand because it's almost like at least in social media, they're told that they can do whatever men can do. They can go out and sleep around like men, and it's the same thing.
yeah,
Listen, ladies, it may not be fair, and I'm not saying it's fair, but it's not the same thing. Men look at that differently.
Mhm.
I remember even back when I was the girls that I respected were the ones that they didn't give up very easy. They didn't give it out very easy.
I seen this podcast, and this one girl was talking about how, and it's funny because I see a lot of females. They always refer to men being pedophiles or something like that.
I see that.
That's
a
a
lot
big
lately,
thing.
too.
But anyway, this girl was talking about how it's weird that this guy texted her and asked her to buy her shoes from when she was in like 6th or 7th grade or something like that. And she was hating on him and stuff like that. And the people that were in the podcast were like, "Did you sell him the shoes?" And she's like, "Yeah, but it's so weird, you know." She's like, "Why are you like you're helping him out? Like you're what is it? I can't think of the word, but
enabling. Or
yeah,
contributing,
exactly.
contributing to what she perceives to be a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, man, that's hilarious.
Well,
I
that's
know
like-
I know a lot of girls that give themselves up easily, and I know a lot of guys that I've been with, and I won't give myself up. They just leave. But it's like, what do you expect? They expect me to sleep with them within the first month. No, not even. The first week is what they expect from me. And it's like, first of all, it's not just like, I get some guys are trying to sleep around, but when I'm out here looking for a genuine relationship and all you want to do is sleep around, what makes you think I want to be with you?
It's funny. It's funny that you say that because the reason guys nowadays just want to sleep with women is because there's no woman who has enough respect for themselves to actually want a relationship. The thing is that if I hang out with a girl and I can sleep with her within the first night, that goes to show me how much she values like what kind of woman she is.
Yeah.
Like whether she has high values or whether she has standard values. And the thing is that there's not a lot of women who will not let you sleep with them within the first night. Like it'll give them like a week or something like that, and then you're already sleeping with them, which is why guys don't find. That's why they don't date women. And then another thing about it is there will be some guys who will try to date a girl who's already got like 5 or 6, 7, 8 bodies. You can't turn a hoe into a housewife.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, maybe some guys have done it, but from what I know, like
Well, there are exceptions, but in general, if a girl's been with a lot of different guys, which that's not a high number nowadays. But,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
just
man.
hard because it's so easy for them to go to another guy.
yeah, and
As for a
then,
woman who's only been with one or maybe 2 guys or nobody, she's ready. She wants to stay there and work on it because she don't want to have to go and start over. She wants to be with another.
yeah, another thing that's that I was thinking about is one thing that's a sort of a key component in my personal opinion is pair bonding. Like once they have 5 or 6 bodies, they can't pair bond.
Well, they say it's more difficult for them.
Yeah,
to do it
it's a lot more
statistically.
difficult.
That's what they say. Now, I know Rollo Tomasi says that if they make you wait, it's not worth the wait. But I don't agree with that. Everybody has different experiences. And according to my experience, that's not true because, and I think I'm not positive. I think his idea on that is they make you wait. That if they were with Chad at the foam cannon party in Cancun, they would be with him. But if they're making you wait, then that's a different thing. But I don't know if I agree with that or not because the ones that made me wait were the ones I ended up going out with for years and they were faithful and they didn't sleep around. But that was a long time ago. Maybe things are different now. But if a woman values herself, I don't care, and she has morals and character and inner strength, she's not going to. I don't believe she's going to jump right in bed with the guy until she gets to know him.
I make music. Ask what you would do if one of your sons was transgender.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. What'd I do? Oh, Wade Emery said about soft as medicated.
Yeah, I
cotton.
saw that. That's funny.
That's the guys nowadays. But yeah, we're trying to remedy that, Wade. What would I do if one of my sons was transgender? Kick him out of the house? No, I'm joking. Well, I don't know really. I just have to cross that bridge when I come to it.
I don't think you're gonna come to that.
No,
I don't
really
think I'm going to come to that, but if I did, of course, you never know if I had more kids. Who knows?
Yeah.
And that's something in today's society is. I know when you're growing up, going through puberty, you have so many different mixed feelings about both sides, both sexes, or maybe even the knot hole in the tree. I mean, when you're a young man, it's like you're so horny, all you can think about is relieving that thing.
Yeah.
So it's hard telling what you're liable to think about having sex with. So I think sometimes with all this stuff I think it's being pushed, that a lot of young men are thinking, well, maybe I read something the other day, a guy said he thought, well, maybe I'm gay because when I was young, I had this experience with a boy or whatever. I had an experience when I was younger with this older guy, but it wasn't, I mean, it felt good, but it's just not me. I'm not gay. But if I had that now and grown up in this time, I may have thought I was gay, but I'm not. I mean, whatever, just because something stimulates your body doesn't necessarily mean that's what you are. I believe there are men that are born with a feminine, strong personality, and that's who I would consider really gay. And there are men that are just horny and they'll sleep with anything. What do they call that? Prison sex?
A lot of people now, like especially raised up around here, they all think that they're gay, but then again have not had any type of experience with anybody else, barely even with females. A lot of the guys think that just because they haven't been with a female, it makes them gay.
Mhm.
Isn't it easier sometimes for the young people to be with another guy or if it's a girl to be with another girl than it is to be with the opposite sex? Is it easier? I mean,
I guess
or
it
not?
depends. It depends on.
Sometimes I wonder because some of these girls are a lesbian, they're gay. How do I say it? I would say they're not the top choice of the men in the looks department. Okay, and then some of the guys that are gay sometimes, there are some good-looking gay guys, and there's good-looking gay women too. But from what I see around here, some of them are lacking in the skills to be with women, or with the looks, or whatever they need to deal with women, or they're afraid to deal with women, so they go for the easier route, so to speak. And I'm not bad mouthing gay people or transgenders. I have no problem with any of them, as long as they're not trying to push their ideas on me and make me change my ways for them. I have gay clients who are great. I've had gay friends. It doesn't matter to me. What we got here? Oh, you redacted a message there. Claude, what do you think?
Kind of zoned out there for a second. I forgot what you just
son of
said.
a gun.
I forgot what you were talking about. What did you say?
I'm losing it.
What?
Losing it. No, I'm
Losing
joking. I
it?
just can't think of what to say or what to talk about.
Paulina?
No, I
Throw
can't
something
either.
out here.
I'm trying, but I can't think of nothing.
Well, hopefully, Andrew Tate gets done correctly. Hopefully that he gets that figured out and he can be back out there, giving his message to people.
Yeah.
I think his message is good. I mean, he could tone it down a little bit, but that's just the way he is. And I think some of it he does for theatrics.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, because it makes more of an impression the way he talks. Excuse me. One of the things he gets clipped out of and people react to is he said women are property, but what the deal is, they just take that part, but they don't tell the part about he's talking about. Okay, when a man gets married to a woman, the father gives the bride away like she's property. Well, we all know she's not property, but in that context, why is he saying that he's giving her away? But some of those things he says are just he's joking around. People don't understand these days. When I grew up, the men would get together and they'd make jokes like that. Oh, it was such a misogynistic time, they say. Okay, but the women would do the same thing and they would joke about men. But nowadays, if men say that on social media or women joke about men, it's like they're terrible or there's something or you're misogynistic or what's the word for women? There's a word for them too. I can't remember what it's called.
Sexist?
It's the same thing as misogynistic, except it's for women. Somebody in the chat know what that word is when a woman's misogynistic? There's a word for it. I can't remember what it is.
All I can think of is sexist, but that's it.
That's for like
Yes, Paulina is a high school student. She's 16 years old.
I am young.
Yeah. But back in the day,
Young
I
and
was looking at
beautiful.
back in the day, women were allowed to marry. Women were allowed to marry at 12 and men weren't allowed to marry until they were 14. Now, some people say, well, that was because back then they didn't live long. Women were considered old maids even back in the 1800s. Once they got to be 20, 22, 23 years old, they weren't married yet because they were going to have a family. If you're going to have a family, if you're going to have 5 or 6 kids, you can't wait till you're 25 to start that. It's going to be tough for a woman to do that. You got to do that earlier. You guys doing playing footsie on the table?
No.
She keeps trying to kick me. Trying to keep her feet away from me. Nasty.
So whether or not
feet.
he's going to get out of jail, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just we're kind of sitting there. Nothing's happening. I haven't heard anything about the investigation or what is going on. There's nothing, really.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Nothing's happening except they're just making him sit there. I think for sure they're going to keep him for the 180 days.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're going to charge him, I don't know. But I would think if they had really something that they could nail him with, they would have charged him by now and went ahead because they want to discredit him. But maybe it is they don't have enough to charge him and they don't think they can get a conviction. But maybe they're going to keep him as long as they can and not let him out until they have to, hoping maybe that will calm him down.
I always see things like how he recently got a plea deal and all that stuff. I'll see stuff about that. Sometimes I just ignore it because I'll stop ignoring him the day I see that he's out and free. Then I'll be like, oh, okay, bad. Like, let me read about this.
Henry, what are you doing?
Nothing. Just,
Passing out there?
No, I was fixing my side.
Oh,
But
okay.
for now, I think I'm just gonna wait patiently and see how.
Now he's making
One thing
tweets. Is
leads
he
to
making
another.
those tweets or
He's
somebody-
having
Someone
someone
else is
do it.
doing it.
somebody's doing it for him?
Yeah.
So did Aiden Ross ever go visit him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he really did? Now, see, I don't know what the whole story was on that guy.
No, they just kind
Did
of
Aiden
met.
did Aiden used to badmouth him or something?
think
No.
They used to be on podcasts together.
I think he kind of and still does look up to Andrew Tate, but I think Aiden Ross went to Dubai to meet him. And then that's when he really got to. Yeah, that's when he really.
Yeah, that
They
was before he
introduced
got
each other.
locked up. I'm pretty sure.
Mhm.
So I Make Music says, Mark, when are you and your sons going to Asia? I guess you're talking about the Philippines or Thailand or Vietnam, somewhere over there. I think your sons could find an Asian wife in Asia if they want to. Probably so, but they're half Spanish, so they may go down south.
I'd be down. I'd be down to go there
I
because
don't know, would you rather
what's
go
it
to
called?
Asia or would you rather go to South or Latin America?
Probably so.
Asia.
God, the reason I haven't gone there is such a long flight. It's like 24 or 30 some hours to go over there.
I think,
But I've heard good things about the Asian women over there.
Mhm.
So I like the Latinas on myself.
don't they still do arranged marriages in Asia and stuff like that?
Some
It's in-
places they
it's
do.
India, isn't it?
Yeah, they do arranged
Yeah,
marriages
they
there.
do that in India too. Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to go to Asia, mainly Tokyo, Japan.
Maybe you can find somebody that's smaller than you.
yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Well, a lot of people say that it's fine as long as you don't bring them back here. I tend to agree with that because what happens is that if they're out in the workforce or if they're out there, they're going to pick up a lot of the American ways, and a lot of times women there's a verse in the Bible that says talks about harm coming to women from other women. The problem is that I know a guy that married a girl from Vietnam, but she's got her own business in the home. And they've been together for a long time, but she doesn't go out and mingle with the other American women because more than likely the other American women would be telling her she's oppressed and suppressed. And I don't know. I guess being suppressed is not out there twerking and showing yourself and going out with the girls and doing all the things that you wouldn't want anybody to know about. Then I guess that is oppressed.
Finding yourself. That's
Finding
what this is.
yourself. But aren't girls these days encouraged to go through their 304 stage?
That's what it is. They're finding
Yeah.
themselves. They're figuring out who they are.
Yeah, I'm finding that. They're trying to figure out who they are through
Through everybody
through
else.
every man. Yeah, through every
I
man
don't
or woman.
understand how that works, but
Trying to find themselves at the bottom of that bottle. I don't know. They don't find themselves. You know.
The next one will do it.
Yeah.
Third time's a charm. Then
Third time turns out to be more than just a third time.
Well, you guys know, I mean, you're 21, right? And you're 19. You guys have known girls since you were dating 16, 15 years old. How many of them look as good now as they did when you first started dating when they were 16 or 17? What happens to them when they get to be 20, 21, 22?
I'll say that I know one that looks good, but that's just because she's still running and gunning. But
yeah.
other than that, I don't know. I mean, most of them after high school they started getting chunka. Look like what is it? The doughboy that
Pillsbury Doughboy?
Yeah.
They start
Most-
putting on some weight. Huh?
Yeah, most of them that I know, well, there's one that I know, she's got an OnlyFans, and then there's a couple other ones who just have what's it called? A couple of them have kids, and then the rest kind of just like fell off the face of the earth. I don't even know where they're at now. I don't even know what they're doing.
So what do you
Oh
think
yeah,
about
like college life, but you know what happens when you go to college.
Okay, well, let's talk about that OnlyFans. But what do you think of a girl that's got OnlyFans?
Gross.
I'm cooling on that because if everybody's seen that, it's like why? Like, is it even?
I mean, would you want to wife her up?
no.
She can be my
okay.
side chick and buy me stuff.
I've seen a video. Yeah. I've seen a video where
She'd
this.
have fun with her on the weekend.
I seen a video where this dude was talking about how like why women wear women in they wear what's that thing called?
The hijab or something.
Yeah, the
Burqa?
hijab. The hijab.
Burqa?
No, the hijab, the thing that covers their whole body, and their
Oh,
face
okay.
too. I'll date a woman like that if she's good looking. Like if I am like, you know, all I can see is her eyes and something like that. But
It's gonna be hard to tell if she's good looking. At least the ones that are twerking, you can see what they look like.
oh yeah, they'll have like a tramp stamp.
Everybody can see
It's
what
like,
they look
it's
like.
like, oh yeah, I definitely want to date someone with a tramp stamp. But another thing I was thinking about is I'll see women with a tattoo on their back, on their spine, and to me it's pretty attractive, but it's kind of sort of almost the same thing as a tramp stamp. You
Well,
know?
and then like I haven't seen a female like this in a while, but the girls with the tongue rings, you know, that's like was meant or supposedly was
What do you
meant
think
for
about
like.
the septum rings?
Oh yeah, I don't really like them for real.
I've seen girls that I think are really pretty, and they got one of those, and it just. But I'm old fashioned, I suppose. I do not. I don't mind the little thing in the side of the nose or the earrings, but the septum ring just because I grew up on a farm, and the only things that had rings like that were the hogs
Yeah.
to keep them from rooting in the ground. So when I see one of those, I think of the hogs on my grandpa's farm. And of course, nowadays a lot of the women are pretty good size.
I
What
can't.
do they say the average American woman is 172 pounds? I guess that includes all ages.
I'm not even 172 pounds.
Neither am I. She's bigger than you are.
Yeah, I know.
But you should love her for what she is.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I was gonna say is I like I'll see a girl and I think she's like really attractive, and then when she smiles, I think it's like really attractive if she has straight teeth. But then you see that smiley and that piercing right in between their lips. It's called a
that's
smiley.
it,
Then that just kind of throws me off. It's like, why you got that there? It's just in the way. It's just metal. It's like tasting copper pennies 24/7. It's like
so how do you guys plan on finding? I mean, if you want to have kids, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna go out of the country. I'm dipping.
You go to the Amish community up north there. We have an Amish community.
Oh, the Amish.
You have to convert.
Yeah.
I mean, what are
I
you
don't
gonna
think
do?
I can switch.
I don't know. Like Tate talks about going out of the country. I'll probably do that.
Yeah.
Probably go to Romania, Asia, something like that.
How about you, Paulina? How you plan on finding a masculine man here in our feminized Western society?
I'm not finding one anywhere near here.
Huh?
I'm not finding one near here.
Oh, near here, yeah, probably. Don't,
Here or in Missouri, period.
oh, I'm
I
sure
might
there's
as
got to be a
well-
few. Just like there's a few good women around here, I'm sure.
Very rare.
Yeah, go date one of the
Yeah.
Amish dudes. Them dudes are hard workers.
What's that?
Date one of the Amish. Those
Oh,
are hard.
yeah.
Those
Yeah,
guys
I've
are
worked
hard
with those
workers.
guys. I have a good time.
Yeah,
I joke around.
pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Whole different breed of people.
Yeah.
All right.
true.
Well, we're going to wrap it up. We have any more questions in the chat? Throw one out there. We'll answer it before we go. Otherwise, we're going to get out of here. I have a meeting to go to. And
I'm getting tired.
any last comments?
Yeah, I think I'll probably because I make music. We're talking about the Philippines. True, I might go there. I've always wanted to go to the Philippines. It seems pretty cool to go there.
Yeah,
These are pretty good looking Philippine women.
My dad
Filipino
was
women.
stationed in Okinawa in World War II. Thanks for coming, Wade. Appreciate you, man. We'll have another show here pretty soon. I got one roll around in my head. Maybe I'm not sure who we're going to have here, but we'll do something. You can come on down. All right, that's it. We're going to wrap it up for tonight. Thanks for joining us as always, and we'll be here again next weekend on the Powers Within podcast, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Take care. Thank you again, Wade. Thanks everybody else for commenting in the chat.